Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, India and Europe leave the U.S. in the dust with the mother of all deals, while AI robots are finally doing the dishes, and Elon claims his AI is beating Wall Street traders at their own game. Okay, let's unpack this. We have a massive stack today, and the vibe is definitely shifting. But we have to start with the macro picture, because the tectonic plates of the global economy just moved, and it feels like the U.S. might have been standing on the wrong continent. We are looking at this breakdown from Mario Nawfal regarding the India-European Union Free Trade Agreement. They are calling it the mother of all deals.
It sounds like typical headline hyperbole, We hear a historic deal every other Tuesday. But when you actually crunch the numbers here, historic might be an understatement. This isn't just a handshake. It's a recalibration of the global map.
Walk us through the scale here. Why does this specific agreement matter more than, your average trade pact?
It's the sheer volume. This agreement covers 25% of the entire global GDP.
A quarter of the world's economy.
Exactly. That is 1/3 of all worldwide commerce falling under a single umbrella. And the mechanism isn't just a slight reduction in fees. They are slashing tariffs on 96.6% of EU goods entering India.
That is effectively a borderless market for goods.
Almost. And you have to understand the context. India has historically been very protectionist, very careful about its domestic industries. For them to open the floodgates to European goods like this is a massive policy pivot. It creates a unified market of, roughly 2 billion people that can trade almost frictionlessly.
And that brings us to the visual context Mario shared, which I think really nails the geopolitical vibe. There's this satirical cartoon attached to the news. It's honestly brutal. It shows Prime Minister Modi shaking hands with a caricature of Kamala Harris to sign the deal.
Which is the twist, right? Because in the background, you have caricatures of Trump, J.D. Vance, and Mitt Romney, and they are essentially weeping. And there is this crumbling sign that says, America first.
It's not subtle.
No, but it highlights a very real economic concept called the second-order effect. The U.S. has been pursuing a policy of protectionism, tariff wars, and essentially an isolationist stance to protect domestic industry. The theory was, if we close off, we get stronger.
But the reality is the rest of the world doesn't stop moving just because we paused.
Exactly. The world is looking at U.S. trade policy. The volatility, the uncertainty, the flip-flopping every 4 years, and they are not waiting around for Washington to figure out its identity crisis. They are diversifying. This deal is a direct response to U.S. unpredictability. Europe and India are essentially saying, if the U.S. won't play ball, we will build our own stadium.
So the U.S. isn't just being ghosted, it's being bypassed.
In a way, yes. While Washington argues about tariffs, a massive chunk of the global economy just decided to trade with each other tariff-free. It leaves the U.S. as an island, a very expensive island. If you are a German car manufacturer, you now have a direct line to the Indian middle class that doesn't involve navigating U.S. sanctions or tariffs. That is huge.
Well, speaking of Washington arguing, let's pivot to the domestic mess.
Yeah.
Because while we are losing ground on trade, the internal fight over how the U.S. actually counts its own people is heating up. We have some data from Jeffrey Mead that sheds light on the census and the Electoral College.
This is where the math gets really sticky and, frankly, very controversial, but we need to look at the number.
So for the listeners who might not know the mechanics, the Census Bureau counts all residents, including undocumented immigrants.
Right, and that's the key. All residents.
When they apportion seats for the House of Representatives. Jeffrey's argument is that this practice is distorting political power.
Right, and this isn't just a theoretical what if. Jeffrey is looking at the projections for 2030. The data suggests a massive migration of political power. Blue states like California and New York are bleeding congressional seats to red states like Texas and Florida.
Because people are moving.
Citizens are moving. But the argument here is that keeping non-citizens in the census count is effectively the only thing propping up Democratic power in those shrinking blue states. If you removed undocumented immigrants from the apportionment map, California loses even more seats. New York loses more power. The argument is that the sanctuary city policies aren't just about labor, they are about maintaining a grip on the Electoral College.
So the accusation is that it's not just about humanitarian ideals, it's about political survival.
That's the cynical but mathematically supported take. If you change who counts, the map shifts dramatically to the right. And this ties into the other story blowing up today, which is the narrative warfare around the people enforcing these borders.
You're talking about the Tom Homan situation.
Precisely. Sean Hannity posted about this, and it's a perfect example of how the media lens warps reality. We have the media currently painting Tom Homan as a villain, this hardline enforcer of deportation. But the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, just dropped a hammer on that narrative.
She pointed out that Barack Obama gave Homan the Presidential Rank Award in 2015.
For the exact same work. That is the critical nuance here. Homan oversaw something like 900,000 deportations under the Obama administration, and he got a medal for it. He was a celebrated civil servant. Now, he's doing similar work under a different administration, and he's treated like a pariah.
It really exposes how short our collective memory is.
It exposes that the outrage often depends on who is sitting in the Oval Office, not necessarily on the policy itself. It's pure framing. Under one president, it's law enforcement. Under another, it's cruelty. The action didn't change, the vibe did.
Well, while politicians are fighting over how to count humans and who gets to deport them, let's talk about the things that might replace humans in the kitchen. Because the robots are coming for our chores.
Finally, this is the news I actually care about. Forget the census, get the dishes done.
We saw this incredible clip from Sawyer Merritt showing off Figure AI's Helix 02. It's a humanoid robot, and it is autonomously unloading a dishwasher.
Now, before we get too excited, autonomously is the key word there. No remote control, no guy in a suit behind the curtain.
It walks up, opens the dishwasher, takes out the rack, and starts putting dishes away. Sawyer mentions the tech specs. It's using neural networks to replace hard coding. It was trained on, 1,000 hours of human data?
Okay, I have to be the cynic for a second here. Did you watch the full clip?
I did.
It took 4 minutes.
It was methodical.
Methodical is a polite way to put it. If I unloaded the dishwasher that slowly, my spouse would be checking my pulse to make sure I hadn't had a stroke. It was agonizingly slow.
But isn't speed the easy part to fix?
That is the right question. See, in the old days of robotics, we used hard coding.
Yeah.
You would program the robot, move arm 30 centimeters forward, close gripper, rotate 90 degrees. That's fast, but it's brittle. If the cup is 2 inches to the left, the robot grabs air or crushes the plate.
Right, it's blind execution.
Exactly. What Figure AI is doing with Helix 02 is different. It's sim-to-real learning using neural nets. It isn't programmed to move X inches. It has learned to identify a cup, understand the physics of a cup, which is hard, by the way. Glass is transparent and hard for cameras to see, and figure out how to grab it without breaking it, just like a human toddler learns.
So the slowness is just it thinking its way through the problem.
Yes. And that is why it's actually terrifyingly impressive. Speed is just a hardware constraint. Once the brain, the neural net, perfects the motion, they can crank up the motor speed. The hard part is the cognition. They don't crush the wine glass part, and they seem to have cracked that.
It feels miles ahead of the other clip we saw trending today from Tesla North America. They posted a video of the Model X Falcon Wing doors opening in a tight parking spot.
I honestly had to check the timestamp on that tweet.
It felt like a throwback Thursday post on a Tuesday.
The Falcon Wing doors came out in 2015. We are in 2026. Posting that now feels odd. It's like Apple posting a video today saying, look, the iPhone has a touchscreen.
The comments were pretty divided. Some people still think the engineering is cool, and to be fair, those sensors are complex. But others are saying, great, it's a minivan with expensive hinges.
It highlights the gap in the innovation narrative, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Figure AI showing us a robot learning to navigate a chaotic kitchen using neural nets. And you have Tesla's car division showing us doors from a decade ago. It feels like the innovation heat has moved away from the car itself and into the brain driving the car, or the robot. It feels like Tesla is trying to remind us they exist while Figure AI is trying to invent the future.
Well, speaking of Elon's brains, we have to talk about XAI. Because while the car doors might be old news, Elon Musk dropped a bomb today about their new model, Grok 4.20.
The naming convention remains. Classic Elon. He never misses a chance for a meme.
Always. But look at the stats. He shared a chart from Prediction Arena where Grok is simulating financial trading. It posted a nearly 11% return, significantly beating out Gemini and Claude.
And to be clear, Gemini and Claude were essentially flat or losing money in this simulation. A 10.76% return in a trading simulation is massive alpha. That beats most hedge fund managers.
But the quote that stuck with me was Elon saying, "This is not even our strongest model."
That sounds like a threat.
It implies they have something behind the curtain, maybe Grok 5 or whatever comes next, that is exponentially more powerful. If the weak model can beat Wall Street traders by 10% in a simulation, what does the strong model do to the actual stock market?
We are moving into a world where AI doesn't just analyze the market, it is the market. But if everyone has the same super intelligent AI trader, doesn't the edge disappear? It just becomes a war of latency. Who has the faster server?
But here is the catch. Elon isn't the only one with a super weapon. We have a challenger from the East that people need to pay attention to. Bertabo posted about Kimi K2.5 from Moonshot AI.
This is the story people in the West are sleeping on. We are so focused on OpenAI versus XAI that we forgot about China.
Completely. It's a Chinese model, 1 trillion parameters, native multimodal. And according to the benchmarks Bertabo shared, it is beating Claude 4.5 Opus.
Beating the top Western models is one thing. That's an engineering feat. But the real killer feature is the price.
That is the so what? It is 14 times cheaper than the Western models.
14 times. Think about the economics of that. If I'm a startup founder in Brazil or Indonesia and I want to build an AI app, am I going to pay OpenAI top dollar, or am I going to use the Chinese model that is just as smart but costs pennies on the dollar?
It's a race to the bottom on price, which means China could dominate the infrastructure layer of AI apps globally.
Exactly. We have all these sanctions trying to stop China from getting the best chips, right? But if they can optimize the software so well that it runs cheaper and better, the hardware ban matters less. Bertabo shared that meme of Xi Jinping dancing. It's funny, but it signals intense national pride. Open source in this context isn't just about sharing code. It's a geopolitical strategy to undercut U.S. dominance. If the best AI is free or cheap and comes from China, the U.S. loses its leverage.
So we have robots doing dishes, Chinese AI undercutting the market, and Grok trading stocks. But let's bring it down to the tools we use every day. We saw some crazy applications. Nas Daily did a demo of Grokopedia.
Grokopedia! I still struggle with the name, but the concept is wild.
It's essentially an encyclopedia written by Grok in real time. In the video, it wrote a 10,000-word biography of someone, but the crazy part was the self-correction. It realized it got the marital status wrong, checked sources live, and fixed the text while the user was watching.
That self-correction loop is the holy grail of hallucination fixing. We've all dealt with AI lying to us. Seeing it catch itself is a big step. But we have to ask the uncomfortable question. Who controls the correction?
The replies were all over that.
Right. People are already accusing it of bias. There were screenshots suggesting a pro-Israel slant in some of the generated biographies.
This is the Wikipedia problem on steroids.
It is. Wikipedia is crowdsourced. It's a mess, but it's a consensus mess. Grokopedia is centralized. We are putting a lot of trust in a single algorithm and the company behind it to decide what constitutes truth. If the AI decides you are divorced, good luck convincing the internet otherwise.
That is a slippery slope. But while we worry about truth, other people are worrying about their jobs. Alex Cooper introduced us to Parker, the AI creative director.
This one hit hard for anyone in marketing or agencies.
It does everything. It researches trends on TikTok and Reddit, comes up with ad concepts, writes the scripts, and generates the briefs. Alex claims it saves teams 10 to 20 hours a week.
It saves time, sure. But look at the giveaway he did. He offered a list of 100+ AI prompt engineers to anyone who retweeted him.
What does that tell you?
It tells me that the role of creative director, someone who thinks of big ideas, is being replaced by prompt engineer, someone who feeds the machine. The creative industry is becoming a factory. Parker isn't a tool for creatives. It's a replacement for the agency structure.
So the human just becomes the button pusher.
Or just the taste selector.
Mm-hmm.
The AI generates 50 ideas, and the human just picks the best one. It devalues the generation of the idea and puts the value on the selection.
Speaking of generating ideas, Higgsfield AI launched Angles V2. This looks like it changes the game for video. It gives you full 360-degree camera control for AI video.
This is huge. Before, with things like Sora or Runway, it was prompt and pray. You'd type man on a mountain and hope the AI gave you a good shot. If the angle was wrong, you had to re-roll the dice.
And now?
Now, you have a virtual camera. You can rotate around the subject in a video that doesn't exist in the real world. You are the director.
It effectively drops the barrier to entry for high-end filmmaking to zero.
It's the democratization of blockbuster visuals.
Wow.
But it's also terrifying for Hollywood. If a kid in a basement can generate a 360-degree action scene that looks like a Marvel movie, what is the value of a $200 million budget? The physical set is dead.
It seems like we are moving toward a world where the vibe is the only thing left that's real. Speaking of vibe, let's step away from the work stuff. How are people actually living in this high-tech world? Niche shared a new app called Wager.
This is fascinating and a little dystopia.
It's integrated into iMessage. You can bet with your friends on anything. I bet you 20 bucks Alexa shows up late. Or I bet the Knicks win.
This is the poly market effect hitting the mainstream. We saw prediction markets explode for the election, right? Everyone was checking the odds, not the polls. Now we are seeing that mechanism trickle down to everyday life.
It's gamifying friendship.
It's financializing friendship. We are turning every social interaction into a financial derivative. I bet on this. I'm shorting your punctuality.
Is that bad? It sounds kind of fun.
It's fun, sure. But it also feels like we can't just experience things anymore. We have to have a financial stake in the outcome to feel something. It's dopamine mining. We aren't just watching the game. We are trading the game.
But if you want to escape that dopamine loop, IGN showed us Emberville. It looks like Stardew Valley meets Diablo.
Cozy farming mixed with demon slaying.
It seems like the perfect mix for the current mood.
It is. We want the comfort of the farm, the cottagecore fantasy, but we also want to hack and slash something because the world is stressful. It's the perfect therapeutic cocktail for 2026. We are all burned out, so we want to plant virtual corn, but we are also angry, so we want to fight a virtual dragon.
But the biggest cultural moment on the timeline today wasn't a game or an app. It was a memory. O'Shea Jackson Jr. posted about Prince at the Super Bowl.
The purple rain in the rain.
He reminded everyone that it hadn't rained at a Super Bowl in 40 years. And then, for Prince, the heavens opened up. And when the producers asked him if he was okay, if he wanted to stop, he just said, "Can you make it rain harder?"
That story gives me chills every time. And I think the reason it's trending right now, amidst all this talk of AI robots and trading algorithms, is really important.
Connect the dots for us.
We just spent 10 minutes talking about AI directors, AI robots that don't break dishes, and AI traders that don't lose money. Perfection, efficiency, optimization. Grok doesn't make mistakes. Parker doesn't miss deadlines.
And Prince.
Prince was the opposite. That performance was messy. The stage was slick. The guitars were wet. There was a legitimate risk of electrocution or slipping. It was dangerous. And it was perfect because it was human.
It was authentic.
Exactly. O'Shea is contrasting that raw, dangerous talent with the produced perfection we see now, like the debates over Rihanna's show. In a synthetic world where AI can generate a perfect image or a perfect song, we are starving for that Prince moment. We want to see someone handle the rain. We don't want the robot that avoids the rain. We want the human that dances in it.
That is a powerful thought. The more synthetic the world gets, the more we crave the rain.
Absolutely. The value of human imperfection just went up.
So what does this all mean for tomorrow? We've got AI taking over the markets and betting apps taking over our group chats.
Here's my prediction. We saw Grok beating the stock market simulations. We see Wager bringing betting to iMessage. Tomorrow, or very soon, we're going to see prediction markets officially start influencing stock prices more than actual company earnings.
How so?
People won't care what a company actually earned in Q3. They will care what the betting odds say the stock will do. The sentiment of the crowd, the wager, will drive the reality. The casino is about to become the economy.
A terrifying and exhilarating thought to end on. That is it for the Daily Vibecasting.
Keep your eyes on the data.
See you tomorrow.